Why, test, is this, let me see, is this working? Also, is this my microphone, are you working? Why is the volume so low? What? Why is the volume fine now? Test, hello? Is, is this on the right mic? Why is it so weird right now? Uh, Also, your message failed to send. I love it so much. Uh, I don't know. Did this send? What didn't send? Which one, brother? Anyway, uh, this thing is fine. Hello, hello. Yeah, supposedly. Also, what is the what is the PNC? We have literally a minimum standards. What is the fucking PNC? There it is. Why? Okay, next question. Why is the audio so low? Did the mic change itself now or something? Let me. I wasn't expecting that. I guess I should have troubleshoot a little bit earlier. Probably. Very probably. Anyway. Completely anyway. Um, Here levels. It's it's not it doesn't have its natural boost. Why? When did I change it? Didn't I change it like okay, I know when I touched something in that, but it wasn't like now. It was like I don't know, just when I changed stuff for the writing stream, and that was like a week ago. What is going on? Anyway, that's done. Okay, now we are properly here. Also, I don't even have captions enabled anymore. Why do I still have the windows in the OBS setting? What a funny man. That doesn't change anything anyway. Let me also try to change this image. Will it be too big? How does this work at all? Let me see. See, I think this is what you see when you write C. Also, so we have that, and there we go. There we are. So anyway, what day is it today? It's Wednesday, I think. It should be Wednesday, right? Is today not Wednesday? What day is today? Good question. Um, why do I not know even which day is it already? Um, it, I think today it's Wednesday, right? I guess I assume I I feel like it's a Wednesday. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's fine. Today it's Wednesday. Nice. Anyway, wow, life. I guess I don't know. Everything can happen in like one 1 hour, 1 day, 5 hours, 5 days. Anyway, here we are. I guess. What a what a crazy string of coincidences. I assume I don't know something like that. Also, why is I don't know the volume is still looking weird for some reason. What's going on with that? What's up? Is the position bad? What's maybe it's the cable. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's as long as it works, I assume that's supposedly enough. But yeah, here we are. Now for real. Here we are. Um, I don't know. It has been quite a long time since the last time that we ought to be here. So I don't know. Life happens. I guess existence gets to make us be. I assume that's a sort of proper way to talk about it. Yeah, that we end up being in here, and in many ways, it's quite an interesting I guess, adventure, so to speak. The world of somebody who tries to do something is, I wouldn't say full of enigmas particularly, but yeah, it's full of interesting things to try. So in that same sense, this is just the same thing basically that we end up pretty much seeing a lot of stuff happening in, I guess, a short enough amount of time, short enough to make it not feel like it's any kind of waste or such. So yeah, it's in that sense it's good. I feel like it's quite nice, and I don't know, it's it's as always something interesting, something very intriguing. The world has many things to see, many many events to try to participate in, and that's fun. Yeah, I can say it. I mean, it's not really allowed. It's complicated to be capable of fully saying it to some degree. It it's natural to think that yeah, there are many things to do. The issue is how many of those things can we actually enjoy? Ah, good question. It's quite pointless to look at all the decisions that one could take without really measuring how many of those do we really want or do we really have interest in even trying, so to speak. It's yeah, I don't know. I believe at this point there are thousands upon thousands of things like movies, for example, that anybody could watch. They are available, if not for free directly, by for a minimum price. You can access big enough libraries of things, books, movies, and any kind of content. And it doesn't really mean that we shall see everything. No, no normal person, I guess, tries to see everything that is available to them. In that sense, what we get to have is a very limited set of things to experience. And on one hand, while that is fine, it's not about needing many things. It's not that sense that I am trying to mention here. It's more about yeah, in life, it's entertaining to see that yeah, in most cases, the handful of things that we get to choose are implying that we know what we want. The ones that are truly benefit us the most, so to speak. And it's interesting to keep doing all of that, I guess. It's always time consuming, and anything is to some degree time consuming. But this thing also is time consuming, and I guess having expectations, I love that story about, yeah, I expect that what I am doing is going to lead to any kind of result, and what I am hoping for or leads to any kind of result, and every action is not taken for the sake of taking it. It's not performance for the sake of performance. I guess that's the same encoded phrase basically. It's just to some degree it's good, or it gets to be more palatable to realize that yeah, there are some things in particular that we get to enjoy more only when we actually want them. And the issue is allowing those things to be apparent to us. In that sense, what I was trying to say is yeah, it has been a couple of days since the last time that we got to be here, but it's not like it's a loss in that sense. It's everything being done for the sake of other things. That entertainment or that pleasure gained in knowing that all actions serve some other thing. I don't know. It should be common supposedly, but the interconnectivity of things. How, in a way, it's better to have as many opportunities as possible for stuff and similar. So it's less about having to worry about itself and anything that others might mention in our lives, I guess, and understanding that, yeah, there are some things that it, the final phrase is take priority. Getting priorities, and I don't know, it's a very well spread notion. It's not really that useful, and I could even justify it as something that in nowadays culture does not get to be seen as something useful itself, due to how much it has been transformed into not what it originally meant, but rather a more insulting term. This idea of, and you know what, we need to get our priorities in life straight. That sort of expression, that thing happening in this case, basically. And I don't know, it's good, it's sufficient, basically. There are many things to see and to try and to want and to go for. So it's quite interesting to see all of that happen in actuality, and not just living the fantasy of, oh wow, yeah, maybe this will lead to something else. No, 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 no. It's properly getting to observe and to experience through our own decisions, I assume, what we used to probably just picture as the most beneficial kind of thing. It's in a less complicated manner, basically. It's doing as one says, basically. I can always express stuff to other people, I guess. I don't know, I find it at least apparent in the group of, in the different groups of people that I have been in. I don't know, maybe it can be a problem of literally everyone who I met, and the rest of the world doesn't have it as such a common thing, but it's quite easy to say what should someone else do to fix stuff, to make this whole story of I can solve your life in 5 minutes. That thing is incredibly common. It's, I will say, most people do not utilize exactly that same expression, but yeah, you can see it in the way in which many try to talk about any kind of overwhelming feeling and such, that yeah, I don't know even if it is proper to just say in general society has become like that, but at least almost all the people that I know have that overwhelming, or that overconfidence of, yeah, I can solve someone else's life, and that will be it. They won't have anything else to worry about. And not that it cannot happen, I don't think that can't happen. Maybe it could even be true, but the other argument is, while in reality, I am also messing up my whole life, I guess. I don't have my own existence in order. I can somehow take care of someone else and order everything that they have, and make their life work, basically. I mean, it from a different perspective, I didn't even consider that until now, but from a different perspective, it even makes more sense. If I don't, if I get to have everything else that someone else gets to have in their life and not have mine, maybe I would have a better time in existence, so to speak. Maybe that's part of the explanation as to why it's such a common expression, but yeah, this idea of I can say to others how to fix their life, how to do things right. But I myself don't do them, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of tracing back and trying to follow on all of that. I wouldn't say something impossible. I wouldn't say something really that hard. It's just in this case. In other times, I know I do say patience. In this case, it's just a matter of attention. It's life itself presents you with all the ways in which you get accustomed to being. Let's say it like this: any human gets accustomed to the different things that they do, not because they are forced into the customs themselves, but rather because they learn to just normalize the things that they do in their whole life. And in that same sense, one of the funny things that happens in cases like this one is instead of just sliding through any single event that happens throughout life without ever stopping to look at it and wonder why it is that way, this act of attention, of interest, maybe even, of okay, why is X action that I am committing, XYZ action that I am committing this way? What's the point with all of that? That proper process in a conscious manner is what allows, I will say, to that same point of now I can finally realize that I'm doing a little bit more what I can also tell other people to try. It's less of a method of, oh yeah, my life is completely unrelated to that of anyone else, but rather at least in the most apparent ways that I can find out all the different things that I might be interested in trying and that I might want to make happen in my life require a little bit of action. And all of that is, I would not just say useful, is constructive. There are some, this whole idea of there are things that are useful in the present and not much more. Okay, these are constructively useful. They have their actual functionality now, but also they serve for everything else, so to speak. It's the continuous act of I get to slowly solve a lot more of the issues that I also find in my own existence. So if I can get rid of enough of those in the more, I don't know, in a comparison to a video game, let's say like this, you get accustomed to the handful of basic first mechanics that you're introduced to. So after that, you get to handle not only the first set of mechanics that you understand out the, let's say, video game of life or video game of my daily life, but also afterwards everything else becomes a little bit more manageable. Not manageable in a way in which it wasn't before, but rather it becomes something a lot more transformable, so to speak, something that gets to have a lot more options. Freedom is more of a present idea than just a question on something that I guess we get to see other people talk about and such. It's that whole realm of things that feels, I wouldn't say just one second satisfying. It's to some degree, yeah. Everything is out satisfaction. I don't think personally I will be capable of finding myself anywhere if it didn't have that side of the satisfaction gained from doing it, but also it's this other area of, and besides the satisfaction itself, I get to also find some usefulness in trying that, in putting my time towards that. I can see everything having a what I said, a sense. So the whole picture feels better. It's not a necessity for a good feeling right now. It's everything else that gets that allows, so to speak, the future itself to feel even not better, even more solid, I guess. That's the correct expression. More solid in terms of being capable of projecting more and more things onto it and being more and more capable of achieving all of those things. I wouldn't, I don't know, personally, I have never tried to talk about anything related to what's the name that it has in that weird category of life coaches, I guess they are called, is not projecting, it's imagining, not neither, no, imagine something. Yeah, it's visualization, I think it is, or something similar to that, basically, in which you just visualize that one day you will get to have things. I don't really think it works that much. I don't I don't know. I think the motivation comes from other things. Personally, I don't know. I know that to some degree we are adjacent to all of that. Even if I know I never get to that degree meta about all of the categories that are imposed that impregnate this place, so to speak, and whatnot. But yeah, if the idea of, for example, hope core, something that is present in almost all conversations that we get to have here, if something like that gets to also be, I wouldn't say contaminated, but at the very least populated by people who refer to that idea of, yeah, um, mental visualization or whatever it is that they call it, I don't even remember. All of those things are to some, in some degrees of connection to what we are doing. It's not like, oh yeah, yeah, we exist, we exist completely unrelated to all of that. No need to acknowledge. No, yeah, they do exist. They do happen to be people. Does happen to be love on stuff of that sort. So yeah, I have to clarify that. No, I don't think in terms of, oh yeah, we need to actually project ourselves into the future. We need to believe that we will have that rare. No, 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 no. I'm talking about something very simple happens in anyone's life. The moment in which you get to understand what's the point in the present that you are experiencing, you also get to handle a little bit better the whole idea of there is a future that not only will I find myself in, I should also try to look forward to. There are some things that I should try to define that are not related to my current self or to my immediately future self, but rather everything else that is also related to this mode of, yeah, I will have to try and understand what's going to be about my existence in, I don't know, 1 decade or something like that. So at that point, yeah, it becomes a lot more entertaining, I guess, more bearable, more doable, and yeah, in that same line, it's all of this to try and continue having that, I guess, to try and basically follow the same line as before. It's not something that came out of nowhere. It's just continuing to do everything else that allows life to feel. I don't know. I wouldn't say like it is on a railroad in terms of, oh yeah, life is completely uncontrollable because it only has one direction, but rather it's more about, you know what, it gets to have a particular way in which I want to drive it towards a particular goal that I have. Let's say it like that. One particular set of goals that can be accomplished becomes the main objective. And after that, we will see what else is to come. If those particular objectives seem too far away, but it's just thinking about that. It's probably, yeah, goals also to some degree unavoidably. Goals are also mixing out of that mixture, I guess. I don't know. It's it's funny, probably. It's that's all I can say. It's just something funny to think that to some degree. I mean, personally, I find it incredibly funny to see people say stuff like, "Yeah, you know what? There is no actual need to think about what I will be doing. I don't know, a year from now." To some degree, I understand it. You don't need to be thinking about what exactly will be the actions that you're going to be taking 365 days from now on. How are you going to wake up? Where are you going to wake up? What are you going to do with your first hours? What is going to be the thing that you eat? No, no. But to be completely oblivious of the fact that, yeah, from a year from now, I must also try to keep existing. There are things that I should try to do. There are things that I should try to get going. What can I try to do to ensure that those things happen? What is the point of deciding things if I'm not going to even care for them to happen in any way? So yeah, all of that stuff is basically what keeps, I wouldn't say what keeps me going, it's just the habit of having understood the first basic layer and trying to define everything else, I guess. It's the endless adventure of life, let's say it like that. The endless adventure of getting to understand to some degree how it gets to work personally, and after that, getting to make it happen, not only in oneself, but also in any other person. It's I don't know. It's it sounds outlandish. It also shouldn't sound like that. Give me 1 second because I feel like I am fucking dying. I don't know why. So yeah, let me drink some water and after that I continue. I kinda hit my hand in a bad way and it hurts so incredibly bad. I don't know why. I guess I didn't break anything. It isn't that painful, but also I remember last time I broke a bone, it didn't really feel that painful. I guess after like the third time you break something, you get accustomed to it anyways. Completely anyways. Um, the point was that basically is trying to learn and do better. Wow, such a deep line, brother. But no, I don't know. It's just some degree that's always the issue. I do want to say stuff about that, but at the same time, it feels like it should be a lot more basic. We shouldn't need to have places like this one. It should be a lot more of a natural process to it to hear oneself think about what they want, to get to know that the people that you have around you also want stuff. Not once again, not just in the sense of oh yeah yeah, I want to have this particular materialistic belonging. Ah no. Where do you wanna see yourself in? What's that status, position, thing that you're aiming for? What's the idea behind every human? Let's say like this: behind every human, there is an idea. What's the idea behind the human that you are playing as, so to speak? What's what was the point? What was the existence for? Not in a sense of, oh wow, yeah, you right now have to tell me, but it's a common question of, okay, I have things that I want to see, I have goals that I want to fulfill. Can I actually do that? Can I make sure that I obtain those things? Can I make sure in some way or capacity that I can minimally aspire a little bit more for those things? Can I wouldn't say materialize, but rather effectivize? Is that a word? I know it is in Spanish. I think English doesn't have it. Uh, effectuate, that one does exist. I want to effectuate things onto reality. I want to see them be. Okay, I will try to get them to work and I will try my best to make them happen. And after that, I will be happy with my own existence, with the things that I have to do, with everything else that comes after having fulfilled oneself, I guess. So yeah, it's just that. I don't know. People likes to some degree to treat it as if it was the worst question that you could ever ask. Oh wow, yeah, yeah. What are you aiming for in 5 years? I get yeah to some degree now. Now I finally remember that phrase of yeah. The youth is so incredibly blind to its future. They don't want at all to think about where they are going. Yeah, to some degree it makes sense. I mean, I have just one explanation. It's that idea of we as ourselves don't really feel like it's that useful to try and, gain anything. So it's better to just wait to be our own up and that's it. That's the biggest feud or that's the biggest process that any kid has to go through to get all the validations going so that they can finally play as an adult in the rest of the world that is basically closed to them because they are still fucking kids. So yeah, it makes sense that they cannot have any kind of goal like that, and yeah, that you won't ask anybody, I don't know, 18, 17, 16 years, and most of them unavoidably don't really have that many detailed plans. Not that they don't have any plans, that's not particularly the point. The point is they don't have anything detailed to get to create a more understandable and followable, actionable plan. That's the point here. And sadly, it's not a custom that we get to create until that thing of not growing up in terms of getting older, but growing up in terms of getting to experience a little bit more about the world. I guess, I don't know. But personally, I'm still struggling with trying to understand how it gets to happen outside of things like particular dates and whatnot. It's the best method. It's always, you, at least in our current world, an unavoidable part of the formula is always, yeah, you will lose somebody close to you. By the time that you are at 30 or so, you should have already lost at least one person that was close to you. Based on we have arranged everything, that's how things come to be, and that's how thus most people get to experience the following part of life of okay, this is the moment in which I get to learn what it means or what it represents to have a limited amount of time to see somebody who I started not even started maybe that's that's basically the point, somebody who I have always known even and getting to understand all of that, seeing them be gone and understanding that part of there are so many plans that I didn't get to effectuate with them that we didn't get to. leading to anything else. And all of that is understandable to some degree because, yeah, that person is gone, unavoidably gone. But at the same time, that's also the final piece of the puzzle that most people is sort of missing. That experience of, okay, what the fuck am I trying to do myself? What are those things that I tomorrow what I am personally used to say, tomorrow I will not wake up, tomorrow I die. What is the thing that I would have wanted to accomplish the most today? That whole change, I guess. We define ourselves, even if I personally do not like it, we define ourselves a lot in mindsets, and yeah, that's just a particular type of mindset. Entering in that mindset of, oh wow, yeah, yeah. What's the plan today? What's the objective that I have? What's the goal and all of that? All of those changes of vision do not get to happen. Sadly, if we don't experience something like a loss in our cultures, I don't know, I guess I have been trying to some degree to understand how people like yeah, the Hindus get to live stuff like that. That's an interesting proposition. How people of other places who do not share our same ideal gets to just realize the same thing. Because on one hand, I can trace this is sort of what's outside of the point. I hope I can go back to it later on. But outside of people who do not follow Christianity, it is a good question how they get to experience this whole change in systems of belief. I think some part of maturation itself has something to do with the belief systems that we use. Not because we became atheist or anything like that, but rather because, at least under the Christian doctrine, so to speak, one of the many ideas that we get to have is something related to this perspective of, yeah, yeah, life is good both in heaven and earth. So it's not something that you need to worry about, or something like that, basically. As long as you are in God's favor or in God's grace, you get to enjoy a good life. And most people, even if they do not exactly follow any kind of religion itself, they get to see it, and I will not say follow or consciously follow, but unconsciously accept that that is part of their being. Yeah, my life is good. My life is unavoidably good because I just get to be. But it is only until that realization of, oh wow, things have gone completely out of place. I have lost all connection with what I used to want, what I used to desire, what was the point of my existence. I lost all of that once I saw somebody else also under have to undergo that final part of being, passing on to non-being. And I have to reevaluate everything else. I have to make sense. Even if my faith system is still the same one that tells me that there might be a place after this one life, now I have gained some consciousness of what it means to, in this one place, not be anymore. And after that, then everything else becomes more actionable, more. le- I don't know. Maybe I am using the wrong simile, but I will even say it like this. It's like without this change in the system of belief, the human in many cases is still living a more basic life, still, because you never get to open all of those other doors to the possibility of change and to the wonder that it is to do something that you actually want, I guess, and to do things that you actually care for, and to be capable of effectuating the things that you say you want to see happen, let's say. And all of that is only achievable through proper action and through engaged action. And all of that is good, not just because it is good, but also because it is in it becomes more manageable, let's say. The first after being shaken up, everything else gets to follow back into place. More and more positions open up for all the other things that were left unattended before become also available. So you can now handle a little bit more food in your plate, so to speak. I don't know. I wouldn't say maybe it's getting too abstract. I will assume that to some degree, but it's just how it feels, at least personally. And yeah, it's nice to have that, and it's interesting to try to develop all of that, and it's wonderful to see it happen. I Once again, what I was trying to say before, I believe it's quite sad that yeah, we do not get to have more of those instances throughout existence itself. We could have a lot more shared joy in a stuff like, wow, what are you aiming for? What are your goals? What is it that you're trying to go for? What you have a dream, brother? Do you have a dream? Do you believe in anything? Questions of that sort are things that we only laugh at nowadays. Sadly, we do not consider as necessary to ask, useful to ask, proper to ask, correct to ask in any, or there are very particular contexts in which that rule does not apply, yeah. But besides those, in the daily life of people, that is not a conversation to have, and that is not a conversation to look for, even. So that's, yeah, I mean, it's a loss. If nothing else, it's a loss. It's a disadvantage that we have over the rest of the people who understands and can process it in a more honest way. Yeah, you know what? I care about these multiple things that I have dedicated myself to, and I want to see them lead to anything, and I want to gain something from them. So I am investing my time in all of that, and I am actually trying to see how it goes, what it leads to, or it leads me into. And I am willing to take as much time as it needs to see it develop into anything else. And I don't know, I am not angry because of that. And if you ask me, I can tell you. But to act in in that other direction of what the fuck? Do you even question me if I have a goal? Are you calling me suicidal? That's something funny. That's something incredibly funny that I have. I remember hearing in a different type of conversation, but which makes it fall into the very same pathway of, yeah, between let me properly explain it. I remember somebody blew up quite recently with this whole set of uh, male loneliness, hiding my male friends, something like that. It was like 1 hour, 20 minutes special of somebody doing comedy, and it was basically just this guy going on trying to explain about how interesting it was to see that, yeah, between males it's not so common to show any kind of affection, and affectionate things do not get well received unavoidably. And I think it shouldn't even be part of affection. It should be, once again, something normal. Do you wish for things? Do you have any kind of hope? What's goals? Do you have them? Do you wish other people had them? What's your stance on all of that? What's the direction that you're trying to take in your life? All of that same type of conversation lies in an even worse, in a more precarious situation than anything related to affection. At least with affection, you just get to make it look like it happily happens to exist only in one of the genders, completely ignoring all of the other issues amongst females, I guess. But I don't know. The reality is still we we are very incapable of talking about anything that properly concerns humans who supposedly try to act so much like adults. Let's say it like that. So I don't know. It should be more common. It should just be a more usual thing. Yeah, 5 minutes. Let's just dedicate 5 minutes to ourselves. I go and talk with my friend, and I don't need 3 hours of my whole life. Not because I don't want to spend them with them, but because we don't need to make a big deal out of it. If it were to need 3 fucking hours, it's fine too. I have talked about fucking video games with my friends for years on end. I can do the same thing and talk about everything else that is related to existence in a more proper way for hours on end too, even if it is just 5 minutes. Once a week, once every other week, once a month, once a fucking year, it doesn't matter. It's just something absent. And it's just something that, yeah, personally, that's what I was trying. That's where all of this came from. Because that's something that gets to happen on the personal side. Yeah, I get to see it. I get to have it. I get to do it. I get to wonder about it. Okay, do I get to promote it with other people? Do I get to try and discuss it with other people? That's the side that I have been trying to cover personally. It's interesting to see how much of a disconnection between all of that and this whole other narrative of, wow, yeah, I had so many friends that had such joyless lives. They had nothing that they wanted. They got nowhere. All of their things led them to no proper place. I cannot believe it. This is the most unenjoyable thing ever. And they, because they tried to force their existence onto others, they are no longer capable of enjoying existing, so now they have become a husk of their previous selves or stuff of that sort. That isn't so incredibly uncommon. All of that is, yeah, observable, but it's also something in which action can be taken. It's, I don't know, I haven't, this is sort of different, sort of the same thing still. I have been having an incredibly hard fucking process trying to understand all of that. It's so easy to classify it or to misclassify it and call it other names as, oh wow, yeah, you're becoming your friend's therapist. No, you fucking blind person. I am trying to do something that I know I can do for myself onto others. You, don't you fucking love to repeat do unto yourself as you want others to do unto you? Don't you fucking realize that that's also something that applies to the rest of the world? What are you looking at when you try to lecture people on how they must live and what not? Where is the empathy in never trying to have any of those conversations? It's something doable. you know? It's something that can be performed. It's not something that, oh my god, I am going to screw their whole lives up. I'm going to make a mess out of this. I don't know, man. Sometimes the self-defeating attitudes and the negative ways to think about the stuff become apparent instead of just being normalized. And it becomes less of an issue of, oh, well, yeah, if I were to do it, I would, I don't know, ruin them. No, it's just a reality of, I can, as long as I'm paying attention to it, as equally as I do unto myself, I can see in which way I can make any kind of minimal effect. Not even wow, biggest support. No, minimal effect. And that might spiral onto everything else afterwards. But it is, I don't know, I think it's very easy to call it selfish. The low hanging fruit is to say, oh yeah, yeah, this selfish attitude. No, 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 it's not really selfish. It's it's a pathetic attitude, yeah. It's this necessity to never believe that we can achieve any kind of proper assistance with others unless the way in which we are accustomed to seeing things, basically, oh yeah, only the properly qualified graduates of these restrained groups get to have any saying on these areas of life. I don't know, man. I am also a person. Wow, surprising statement. I am also a person just like others. Maybe I hear that they are going through some shit, and I maybe, just maybe, I went through something minimally similar, not even the same thing, something similar enough to believe that I can say any part that might be constructive once again. It's this, I don't know. It's something that once again, or in this case, I guess I have to clarify, yeah, it's something that makes me personally angry because it shouldn't be a problem. It should not be a discussion that we are needing to have. We should be needing to have many other more useful discussions. These sort of discussions are just happening because we haven't really moved that far away from them in terms of development of minds, I guess, development of concepts of everyone's or in anyone's in fucking in everyone's life. So I don't know, man. It's just part of the process. But yeah, also, why do I sound so fucking weird anyway? Let me let me drink some water, I guess. I wanted to cross my legs. I can't because if I do so, they end up falling asleep. So I don't fit. Anyway, I was going to say, I don't know. I guess I remember having talked about something very similar to this like 1 year or two ago. And I don't know. It's understandable. It's not already something that we can actually change, but it's understandable, sadly. And I I get it. On the other hand, it's just it's annoying. Not that I don't know. I same thing as I get why somebody might be in any way, personally speaking, I get why somebody might be a little bit sad now, a little more than before at least. I get to understand it, and I get to understand how try and make it happen. The issue is, I don't have the problem. At the other side is the one with the problem. How to make the other side fix the problem? And in this case, oh wow, yeah, from a singular being, how does this get to change anything else? How does what I say get to affect any other part of the world? How being angry at those ways of functioning, at those modes of arrangement of existence and such gets to actually have any, I wouldn't say impact on the world in terms of, oh wow, yeah, yeah, everyone needs to leave a mark in the world, but rather it's just situations that can be changed and modes to make that happen. That whole idea, basically that whole idea that tries to describe just that. And I don't know, people likes to overcomplicate this stuff way too many times, I feel like. And this is just one and another one of those. I I conclude, I don't know, it's the world and how interesting it gets to be. Just trying to do things that feel nice and whatnot in the wider sense of the word, probably, if you want to say it differently, also. But yeah, anyway, besides that, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't mentally, I can say it. It's something different, so yeah. I haven't quite absent mentally. It's funny. It's it's interesting to see easy how easily can one. I I remember having heard recently an explanation about dissociations and whatnot. Okay, I think it does not qualify as a dissociation. I know I did the stuff. I know I learned the stuff. I know stuff. I know things happen. I know I can tell you why they happened, how they happened, and all of that. But it's just it felt incredibly easy. I don't know how to properly explain it, but actions were taken through. I guess this past couple of days, and all of those were quite. I don't think the proper word is just pleasing. All of those were successful. Basically, it has been a very fruitful time. I guess we can say it like that, probably. And yeah, all of that is cool, and all of that is nice to have and nice to keep having. So yeah, it's just trying to consider it more and make it be more in everywhere else. Yes. It has been. I have today. I think I continued the most between today and yesterday. I don't know what the, as as long or as much as I can say something so that I can also admit in terms of failures and lackings. I don't know. I think it happened over today. I think it also happened over today and yesterday. That I haven't. I think it was over yesterday and today. I think so. I have been progressing over the Summa Theologica and all of that, and it has been quite interesting. I wasn't even expecting anything minimally. I finally had some moment of insight, as we fucking call it on English, about stuff about different philosophers and different ideas, basically. The quick rundown form is understanding about all of those ideas more properly and even wider connections between, or more in-depth even, connections between all of those things and everything else that is related to them in any other way, and that now becomes also more apparently related in other non-obvious ways before. So yeah, all of that is useful and all of that is nice, and just I guess I have to continue doing that. I guess. I don't know. It's that's why personally also I don't really try to say anything about that. I don't know. It's an endless process of the same thing myself. It's just oh yeah. I started reading something, I integrate that into something else. All of that makes more sense, and everything else makes more sense, and the world itself entire makes more sense. Everything makes sense, and that's it. Sensible things, understandable things, everything is between those or those two at the same time, and that's fine. That's enough, I guess. I I don't know. I am what I tried to say before. Yeah, we can also try to write a life aiming for satisfaction. That's true. I don't think it's that much useful. So I don't I don't actually try that. I don't actually find myself going after the next five or more satisfactory things. I don't know. It's it's not truly that in the wholeness of things beneficial. So yeah, it's less out constantly being pleased and rather trying to constantly just be better in the wholeness of it, and that's it. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I would even say it like this. A sort of proper expression that could be used for all of that would be something along the lines of, and I am even trying to be better in every way, while also accepting that, yeah, there might be even better or more developed worse times in the future unavoidably. But even those, if everything has been made better enough, might not be as low as what could and simpler existence in, entail or find as a low point, so to speak. I don't know. I think sadly that's the concept of loops and whatnot that gets to come into play with all of these things. That yeah, sometimes it's just about understanding that we are going to be unavoidably instead of different cycles. If the point is always there is a good song, sadly it isn't in English, so I cannot use it exactly as I want, but I can at least explain the allegory. Even if we are always trying to change, that already becomes a fundamental part of ourselves once we try it repeatedly enough. So yeah, unavoidably, it's not really that important to try to change itself or to try to be something different. What tries to be important, what could be seen as important, is rather the realization of, wow, yeah, my existence itself is something that can get to be on a basic level more bearable, on a general level or positive level, more enjoyable as a whole, I guess. If the signification is that of, yeah, I need a joy. If not, what I was talking about, everything else gets to make more sense, more sensible, more meaningful, I guess, more correct, more just, more any kind of more. It gets to be more, and that's enough. And that's sufficient as a description, and that's sufficient. Not, I don't know. that expression of as a promise, as a warning, as something that can be obtained, basically, and that will get to happen as long as I get to do it myself properly enough or for long enough periods of time. And yeah, all of that is, in my case, just that sort of loop that I get to experience, I guess. It's it's complicated to talk out all of that. Yeah, I have been trying to get a little bit better at that whole aspect of removing oneself from the equation, what's not. It's still quite hard, I guess. It's the hardest problem for any subject in terms or in the process of these subjectivizing their own worlds is to make themselves not look as important as they have gotten accustomed to make themselves look like, or as they have gotten accustomed to get told that they should make themselves look like in the ways in which they think about the world. So that's quite interesting also. And I don't know, I think personally, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a crazy statement. Life gets to be a lot more funny in that sense. A lot I get I don't know, I get to understand to some degree why comedy is such or was also seen as such an intellectual show to some degree, because many things also make a lot more sense while also being a lot more ironic in some other way once you get to make it be less about you and just about persons, humans amongst humans, dealing with other humans, all of us trying to deal with ourselves to begin with, and after that, with others. Not even understanding that it's not about dealing, but rather getting to be with others, even less with oneself. So, all of that process is a lot more funny, I guess. I don't know. Uh, let me let me repeat myself. Yeah, maybe all of that is just, as I said before, somewhat related to patience. Oh wow, yeah. It was time finally to drop the same bomb. Everything is related to patience, I guess. I assume. I don't know. I wouldn't say so. Not really. It's some processes need time. Some others can be incredibly accelerated, almost instantaneously finished, as long as one is willing to actually go through the efforts of getting to the results. If not, yeah, they will take 1,000 days of pondering to finally make them make sense. But sadly, on the other hand, ideas are a lot more malleable than what we are used to think, or what we were told when we were younger, I would assume. So it's incredibly more efficient to actually try to think out the stuff than to just let things come to oneself and after that try to even bother thinking out them. No, that's I guess part of the principle of the world is out there for us to discover, not the other way around. The world does not wait, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's all of that is complicated, I assume. Or yeah, I don't know. That's as always. I can say it's complicated to some degree. Also, to some degree, saying that is more than anything else, really just an easy way out of the situation itself. It's quite an effective thing of how we get to function amongst ourselves, to see that things like that are such easily accessible pathways towards, I wouldn't say exactly liberation, but rather no more need to struggle with tensions and whatnot. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Or not good, functional in ways that makes us not deal anymore with the problems that we have and that we might need to acknowledge. So yeah, interesting enough. Yes. But yeah, I don't know. Personally, also, yeah, I mean, I can talk about so many more metaphysical things, more abstract ideas. The moment I need to mention anything particular, it gets a lot harder. But let me actually do it. Something funny happens in existence, in my existence, that is, yeah, and indeed, there are quite a lot of hours throughout the day to do things. We have a lot of hours to exist. Point is also try to do as much as we can with all of that instead of just not even wasting it. I guess, yeah, it has been quite quite an incredibly hard process to properly understand that whole idea of what matters is not the actual way in which we are perceived and the actual way in which we get told that we might be more capable of things than others, but actually doing the best that we can with all of our whole time, rather not barely getting the minimum, but rather doing our best to have the minimum times in which we are wasting ourselves, so to speak. And none of that is easy enough to say. But yeah, I don't know. It's, I guess, the excuse of old habits die hard. More like integrated habits become hard, are harder to properly separate oneself from. So yeah, it's all of that, I guess, trying to get more things going, but it's slowly also just trying to make it happen more and trying to make sure that all of that leads to anything and trying to make sure that all of those different actions are actually useful and not just assumption of usefulness based on predicates that need to be always tested beforehand. So yeah, it's back to the minds of thinking for me. As always says, it's, if something is to be said, is unavoidably many things have always been taught before I even said them. I even appeared in front of them. And I don't know, I don't think that's exactly bad, but that's just how things get to be for me. Sadly. So yeah, basically the same thing here. Just another instance of that to make sure that life leads to places and those things are indeed as they should be and not as they get to be. Because every other part that constitute them was not actually getting all the attention that it deserved, let's say. So yeah, it's just, I wouldn't say, yeah, that's another that's another different issue. How in language itself is such a fucking problem in the way in which we attach ourselves to particular significations of words. I cannot say struggle. I was going to say struggle. You cannot say struggle. If there is something incredibly particular about the way in which we get to talk about things, you do not say struggle. As a human being, you never say that you are struggling. The moment in which you say that you are struggling is the moment in which you might be admitting that you are in some way a failure. And that is not only something that hurts persons in themselves a lot, but also it is something that we as societies have normalized to make it always look like, oh wow, yeah, this person is struggling, this person is wrong, and they need all the attention. No, man. There are some internal struggles of everyone. I wouldn't even go as far as to say, but we cannot even accept that they exist at this point in life because it gets to be made into a sort of new form of ridiculization itself. It's sort of sad, sort of depressive, but anyways, I guess it it works. It always worked, and it seems to be something that we will keep doing no matter what. So I don't know, man. What do you want me to tell you? I don't really know. It's just, yeah, the process. Process equals struggle. So, yeah, the process of getting to make things happen and all of that, I guess. And making things actually. So, yeah, I don't know. Is that good enough? Is that still too imprecise? Who knows, brother? Who truly knows? Does Can oneself really know? No, really, not really. But we assume that we do. After all, if we don't, what's the point if we don't assume that we understand the things that we try to talk about? To feel like failures because we have to realize that we don't get to understand them. That no matter how much we have struggled to properly get to pieces of understanding, all of those things still don't fit anywhere else. I don't know. It's doubt is good, but it's not something that we really have that much. Actually, it's it's not that common. It's somewhat common, but it's not really all that common. It's something that we say that we want. Yeah, yeah. Everybody supposedly needs to doubt a little bit themselves. No, no. In actuality, anybody who does doubt themselves too much might even get condemned in different ways. So, another thing, I don't know. Today, I guess it yeah. Let me say it like this. It's something very wonderful about one of the many ways in which it gets to be associated as a mode of proper existence to point out things that seem to be different issues that do happen in the world, but never do anything about them. It's a very refreshing mode of association with the rest of the world. That one in which you just make it apparent that things happen, but also that's not really that much satisfactory. I don't. Nobody gains anything if we just sit here all day saying, "Oh yeah, this exists." I don't know. Did you know there is inequality in the world? Wow, amazing. Who would have ever guessed we have inequality? Can you give me some examples? Wow, such an amazing discovery, brother. No, no, there are many other things that fall into that same category that we can spend our whole lives pointing out, but solving them is a completely different matter. That's not something that anybody is going to. So yeah, it's partially it's quite useless to just point things out. No, I would even say it's just satisfying oneself and stroking one's ego. Wow, yeah, these things that I can see. The world has problems. Nobody else wants to talk about them. No, man. The world has problems. Nobody wants to fucking die because we are getting told that we should change our whole ways of being by a fucking random, by somebody who does, in my life, actually, I don't know, 99% of the people who I have at some point heard matter a total of zero. and it's not in a disrespectful way, but that's the reality. I don't know. I go in the public transport. Do any of them affect me actually? No. I I can make them affect me if I feel like doing that by, oh wow, yeah, this person is touching me, this person is talking about me actually. I can get paranoid about all of that stuff, but that doesn't really mean that they have any influence over me. And that same thing applies to this idea of, yeah. Many of the things that I point out, do they actually matter in our life? Hmm. Very important question, brother. Very important question. I don't know, man. I wouldn't say that all of those things matter that much. We, for some reason, we are accustomed to not even trying to change in any way. So it's it's nice and it's useful to have all of those things just stay like that. We like to ignore the functions that exist and the different set of orders that we are accustomed to having in our world. But who knows? Also, good evening, good evening, good night. Welcome, Tony. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful day, existence. But anyway, let me try to get the here. I think I have never done so rapidly a professional streamer. Anyway, what time is it? Okay, there it is. But yeah, I don't know. It's all of that is interesting. I will say, at the very least, it's interesting and it's useful to consider still. I guess I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point actually. I think I have read quite a lot of things, but it's quite. I wouldn't even go as far as to say it's quite a miserable life. That one of the philosophers who just lose their whole existence pointing things out for the sake of believing that somebody else might be capable of fixing them later on. I don't know, man. I would rather ignorance, not for the sake of ignorance, is bliss, but rather I will stay completely ignorant to problems that I know I will never be capable of solving, than to be made aware of every single issue that the world has and be never capable of doing anything about them because the whole sum of things that are wrong within the world are such that my personal existence as a singular human being will never be capable of changing enough of them to justify all the efforts that I will need to put into doing such a set of actions. So yeah, I don't know, it's not, yeah, let me say it like this, not thinking, but rather not having to worry so much about other things that do not need to be worries. I guess to some degree, I would gonna say it like this. Even if we like to act like the mass hysteria of the outside to some degree does not leak onto people who like to think in any way, because we avoid stuff like, yeah, you know what, we are not going to see the news today because those things make you all neurotic and make you hysteric. You get crazy if you watch your news every single day. It makes you actually get a little bit more anxious. It makes you a little bit more depressed. Okay, I turn the TV off. I sit in my chair, and the five things that I will start to think about are, oh yeah, today, all the problems of the world wait on me. I have to remember how the human has never been capable of loving one. What? You're doing the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Wow. But I don't know. It's I guess at least we got ourselves to those conclusions, even if they are not at all from what other people said before. So at least we get that satisfaction, that selfish satisfaction of, oh yeah, I get to think about things myself. So that's enough already. But yeah, I don't know. That's I can even trace it back to what I was saying before. In modes of being, the easier mode of being in which existing and doing is actually easier than just thinking about being, getting to transmute the existence that one gets to have into once again going forward in that whole set of things that one gets to be and the places in which one gets to exist and do stuff are a lot better than to just allow oneself to stay in a more basic realm of, yeah, the world has things to think about, but also the world has things to do. And all of that is a lot easier than to just stay in that thinking chair, I guess. I. Where the fuck does that thinking chair analogy come from, even? Anyway, but yeah, it's all of that basically. It's I wouldn't even say it like this. It's just it has been long enough. trying to just think out the stuff. Thinking is good. It's not that it is not good. Yeah, but after some that, you also realize, Santa, there are other things that are also good or even better. So yeah, it's the eternal process of trying to aspire towards that even better thing. I guess today it is action, tomorrow what I don't know, it might be inaction, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I remember, I remember, for example, one of the many professors I had talking about how he started to what was it? Retain from doing stuff, from talking about things, from mentioning things. Also, 5 minutes. But I love that. I wouldn't really know. I think, yeah. Personally, I have still probably to process things one in a different sense. In that of, yeah, and some days inaction doesn't really feel like a proper thing. Inaction does just feel like a justified lack of interest in things that leads you to not do them. Maybe that needs to be revisited or resignified, reworked into something that does make sense actually, and not as a heavy burden to have. To never allow oneself to have inaction, that's quite unhealthy, I wouldn't say. I mean, you come to me, you tell me that, and you expect me to not react if you are someone else, and I might have a whole reaction, a whole negative reaction just because of that. So yeah, who knows? But the whole process of understanding oneself itself in general is time consuming. And all of that is something that has, I guess, always been happening. It's like it's really pointless to just say, oh yeah, yeah, I have to keep doing that. I mean, it hasn't stopped. It will not stop. I don't know. I have to keep breathing. Wow. Amazing. Amazing discovery. I have to keep myself hydrated. Good one. Good one. Ah, I don't know. I just keep oneself in check. That's a sort of proper way of saying it. And I mean, also, it sounds easy. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's just, we get accustomed to do so many fucking things. It's wonderful to see all of that happen in general. How much we end up just settling down for stuff, I guess. Normalizing things in general, I guess. If there is something that I haven't tried to understand quite a lot lately, has been that whole idea of what are we in general humans? It's not truly the world that we get to have just based entirely on the way in which we have normalized things ourselves. It's really quite an obvious statement that, yeah, everything is to some degree subjective, but at the same time, what's the point of calling it subjective if everyone is immersed in that unavoidably? Is that a proper category? I don't really know, man. But it's always just observing and just doing the work endlessly of continuing to observe everything else. At some point, no matter how abstract an idea is, can I say it? Is that a proper statement? Is that doing Kruger effect over confidence? Maybe, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't really found concepts that make no sense. At the best, I am really capable of utilizing the exact same words, but I don't know. Ideas are quite understandable, I guess. So yeah, it's just moving forward with all of that. And after that, personally, having enough patience to come to places like this one and yeah, trying to talk about it properly, not just oh yeah, you know what, I will read 1,000 books and I will become so wise, but no one else will have it. No. That's not the point. That was certainly not the point. That was not at all the interest. There was nothing to truly gain from doing that to begin with. So yeah, it's everything else after that happens because of that minimal to some degree change of avoiding just that direction, trying to make sure that all the other things do get to be basically, yeah. And we have to try and talk out all of that, and we try to properly have an interest in talking about all of that, and yeah, what I mentioned before, basically. What I have been talking for today, for I don't know, for the past 5 minutes that we have been live, all of that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just existence is funny, I guess. I don't know. I I can say it feels enough. So that's also a good enough a statement for me, I guess. I yeah, okay. I know what I can say next. One of the many things that I have been also trying to properly organize is what's something to actually say that's something interesting, yeah. To some degree, you end up realizing there are so many things that could be said. Of that whole set of impotentiality. There are so many places and ideas to explore. Once again, the world is incredibly overwhelming with all of that. It's astonishing to see how wide is the array of chances. So it's interesting to always just try to stay with one thing, and I guess being sincere, I have to say sorry if I ever end up I don't know losing myself into 1,000 things that I mention or that I try to even mention. I might not even, I don't know. I personally feel like I can minimally connect things together in the more basic grammatical sense, but I don't know if I'm just passing through some notions and not really properly saying them like I should, I guess. It's that's the endless process of, yeah, what I was talking about before. You don't ever get to properly eliminate yourself from the equation when you are saying things. You can do only a good enough job at trying to see what might be ununderstandable to someone else, but you don't really get to know exactly what was going to be missing in Terra Basel once they received all of that and whatnot. But I don't know, it's even then, I say all of that, and even then, it doesn't really mean, oh, wow, yeah, yeah, it's such a worry, it's the biggest problem. No, unavoidably, I guess that's just part of the process of communication in general that gets to happen everywhere, unavoidably and in in how do you say it, indiscriminately. So yeah, I just need to remind myself of that, I guess. Um, what what was the line? Remind yourself that our confidence is not a slow and insidious killer. Basically, the same thing, but yeah, remind yourself that the ideal reader and the actual reader do not match. So try to make your best when creating an ideal reader. That whole idea, basically, I guess. I don't even remember who was it that talked about ideal reader. I think it was someone. I'm not even going to try, I guess. Anyway, also, I need to talk about that somewhere. I need to talk about that somewhere before I fucking explode one day and completely lose it. Uh, I mentioned before, I was going through Thomas Aquinas. What's the name? What's the proper name? Summa Theologica. He has stuff about semiotics. He has so much stuff about semiotics. It's incredibly funny to see all of that. It's incredibly funny to see all of that. So, I don't know. It's interesting to say the least. Also, I didn't really understand that when I read Aristotle. Supposedly, he also has stuff about semiotics. I should probably revisit Aristotle, says crazy works, I guess. I don't know. I, I, I have to say, sadly, we still do not talk enough about semiotics as a whole, so that's kind of depressive, I guess. Uh, Idaho? Have a more proper question would be, have I ever went to USA? No. I have never went to USA in general. I have uh, I have never moved out of my country. Which country? Good question. Argentina. So no, sorry. I haven't really gotten out of here. I guess, but I don't know. It's you can tell me if there is something interesting. I don't think I will go there. Like I don't know. Pretty soon, I don't plan on visiting places. I don't know. Personally, I can give you a cynical view on that because I don't have the money to do all of those sort of trips, I guess. But it's interesting. Potatoes? Ah, thank you, thank you. Pro, was it? It was. I don't even remember. I think it wasn't Idaho. I remember somebody showed me something about a place for potatoes. Yeah, they were. It's such a long memory from like 1 or 2 years. I don't even remember. It was New Zealand, something like that, I think. I don't know. Also, what the fuck do I know, Chris? I know why. But here, I live in Argentina. Okay, country next to Argentina, placed to the left of Argentina, Chile. In Chile, they also have like one of the widest cultures about potatoes in general, so that's also not a good place if we are looking for places of potatoes, So it's not really that much of a worry about where to go exactly. And even then, I mean, nowadays potato itself is quite a universal plantation, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, that's understandable idea. But at least I don't know. I I was going to say it could be interesting to have something like be an actual potato and be capable of teleporting around the world through potato tunnels. The reality is we already have stuff like that. They are called fucking airplanes. A human gets on an airplane and gets to be on any place of the world that they want as long as it is publicly accessible. Wow. And that's not bewildering enough, surprising, amazing enough. I don't know. It's just, I guess, the, ignoring the other fact of, yeah, unavoidably, sadly, those things cost something. So yeah, I don't have the thing that they cost. I know that, yeah, that's something interesting. I haven't even thought about that before, but I know I don't have the money. I know I don't have the next representation of that of money can be used to save you time that you will have to spend to get the thing itself. I also don't have access to that, but money represents time, and also it is something that signifies your efforts. Do I not have efforts? Is that how I should see that? That I don't have enough efforts? I don't know, man. It's I could even see it from a more self-defeating attitude to say, oh yeah, it's my best and nothing to just because I want it. Sadly, no. It makes sense that the world is quite greedy with who they handle money to in general. Who we handle money to. We will, even if we are rich, we don't really hand it out that much to anyone else for the sake of it. We like to think that we are generous human beings, but the reality is no, not really. Doesn't happen that much. It's quite a rare event actually, but whatever. I don't know. Also, I don't know. I forgot what I was trying to say before. Sorry for that. I don't know. I let me okay. Let me say this. Something different once again. Um, I remember having been thinking about it quite a lot. I think it's useful. I don't know. I think yeah. Calm down, brother. Explain your thoughts. Sorry. It's quite an interesting idea that one of you should not focus so much on apologizing for the things that you do, not because there is no point in apologizing, but because the action itself of an apology does not get to be that useful. The issue is, I don't know if I just forget it or I either don't really like the explanation itself. That's why I end up forgetting it. Uh, but this whole idea of Even then, even if the wrongdoing has already been committed and all of that will not change, at the very least you can show that you have some degree of consciousness and that you have the capacity to empathize with others and understand that when you say sorry, you mean it, and that when you mean what you say, you actually try to also have some degree of cooperation with other people. So that's a minimal starting point for saying sorry. That's the basic point. You don't say sorry for you say it for the other person. The, the main point of social connections are built on trust. The same thing happens here. If you don't say sorry, you're making the social connection weaker. So I don't know. It's just hard to properly remember it. I guess I don't know. It's I feel like even then, still it's too much of a ritual more than anything else. That I might even say it like it has become a trivialized thing to some degree. I don't think we need to actually have the whole process of oh my god, I have to tell you that I am sorry for this wrongdoing. I think in some cases I can even think about animals and how we process all of that with mascots, for example, that without even words you can understand that they feel sorry about mishaps that they committed and whatnot. And yet here we have such rituals out. Oh yeah, you have to say sorry, and I have to receive it, and I have to tell you that don't worry, and blah blah blah. That's also the part of the performance that I don't really like. So not that it doesn't sit right in terms of I don't understand it. Yeah, I get it. I sadly I get it, but is it truly that necessary? But I don't get if it is completely necessary or not. I don't think so. I don't need to see somebody go out of their way to tell me, oh yeah, you know, sorry. Can you show it with actions? Can you show it with doing everything else besides telling me that you are sorry? That's what matters. That's also, I guess, to some degree the issue itself. Yeah, we get to have such detailed rituals about stuff like that that later on it becomes we perform those rituals and we have to forget that we ever implicitly promised to be better. So tomorrow you will see me doing the exact same mistake again. The exact same stupid mistake again. And we will have to go yet again to the same process of, oh my god, I'm so sorry, can you please pardon me? I don't know. That's, we don't talk about taboo here. Taboo, any kind of taboo thing here. Sorry, that's it. So yeah, ignore that, I guess. Also, I I know. I don't know. I feel like I have been only 30 seconds here. It has been already almost 2 hours. How the fuck do I talk so much? Uh, anyway, I guess before it gets even later, I will be done for today. Tomorrow, as I said, for the sake of without without explicitating it, but also making sure that it was mentioned to some degree. Yeah, tomorrow we will be here, basically. Shouldn't you talk so much? No, no, not that why, but how. I understand that. Every human being deserves to speak as much as they wished. If they deserve to be heard or not is a completely different matter, as long as what they are saying doesn't hurt anyone else in a completely disrespectful manner. Speech should be open in in regards to that, I guess. But the reality is how, to some degree, I guess you would expect somebody like me, I don't know, to run out of mm, platitudes to say, probably I can help, but envy. ah, I don't know. Thank you. That's the first thing to say. Thank you. But also, I guess, believe that one day you can do the exact same thing. That's the main point. If probably I can remember moments. I mean, almost my whole life I had the silent guy. Literally, meme of the silent guy who sits in the back of the room. That has been me. So yeah, I am still most of the time that guy. I guess it's just learn to channel all of that into something that you can keep on going. That's the easiest way, I guess. But yeah, it's it's really something that you just learn to do. I assume. But yeah, it's that's what I was trying to say basically. Yes, yes. That so much stuff. So, what's mucho texto? Mucho texto, cabrón. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sorry. I was also trying to say, that was in a very roundabout way trying to explicitate uh, tomorrow. Tomorrow here earlier. Tomorrow here earlier, Mahabharata. Thank you. That's also something incredibly funny. I don't really think about it in a proper way because also it's quite annoying to fill every other blank. But I have slowly realized, I think like a while ago, you can say sentences without the feelings, without ideas are understandable, without as many prepositions, and concepts themselves are still pickable or capable of being understood from the composition of the sentence itself, without the need of as many other decorations in the words that you utilize and the language that you want to occupy for the sake of transmitting any idea. Issue becomes to also understand that that becomes quite a robotic task and that robs language itself of the beautifulness that it gets to have if you try to properly say anything with some degree of decorum behind it, I guess. So yeah, balancing those things also has been fun. But anyway, uh, it's almost 2 a.m. I go to sleep. I was thinking at the very least I got to take a nap. That's also part of why I don't get to feel so about being up until late today. So yeah, thank you for everything. It has been a wonderful day, but we have to end. We have to end for my own well-being, basically. Ah, what a guy, you know. Also, question mark, right? Do I have to see if there is somebody? Can we can we ignore everything that I mentioned before and yeah, yeah. So wonderful. We can skip. Anyway, yeah. Have a wonderful night. Have a very good night. And until next time. As I said before, tomorrow Mahabharata. And what the day after tomorrow, I will not be here. Most probably, I should not be here. I have been quite capable of being here, so I don't know. I shouldn't say, oh yeah, I deserve it. That's fucking egoistical, anyways. Day after tomorrow. Realm with peeps, I guess. So yeah. Anyway, good night.
Good night.